The crossover is back in full form in the zone. Open mic, Brandon Kravitz, Mike Bianchi. He's giddy. I'm giddy. How was that nice long vacation for
Oh,
you,
it
Mike?
was
Did you
great, but
miss
I'm
me?
glad to be back
Yeah.
debating you, Kravitz.
Let's go. I did announce on the air the other day that it was my birthday. I am
Oh,
keeping that
God.
alive.
Oh,
It is
God.
the reason
That was
I
shameful, by the way. I heard it. It was shameful.
I took the day after my birthday off because I'm not one of these losers that takes your birthday off. And why would I take off when I'm speaking to thousands of my friends and telling them it's my birthday? Why would I miss that opportunity?
Kravitz, the only one who doesn't wait for Facebook to announce the birthday, he does it a day ahead of time to scoop Facebook on his birthday.
That's
I know.
right. I'm like the Adrian Wojnarowski of my own birthday. All right, Mike, why don't you get us started?
All right, I'll get us started because I have a beef with your co-host Tyler Karen and his ilk. These up and coming young gun UCF fans who went to UCF and they fell in love with UCF football during the back-to-back undefeated seasons, and now they're dissatisfied with Gus Malzahn. I wrote a column earlier this week, sort of criticizing these Johnny come lately UCF fans who get on social media and rip Gus Malzahn. I don't think UCF fans like that appreciate Gus Malzahn enough for what he's done to not only coach the team, but build this program. So I want to know your thoughts. Do UCF fans appreciate Gus Malzahn enough?
I think there's a split community, but mostly I would agree with you. I saw that you wrote the article. I don't think it's an unfair article to write. I happen to disagree with you. My question back to you would be, why is it so unreasonable for UCF fans to hold Gus Malzahn to a high standard? And here's something and it was more of a rhetorical question, although you can answer when I'm done with my remarks here. Gus Malzahn recently, I think there's a bit of a tell in his recent media availability during fall camp. He has a different tone about him. He has a different approach. There's an aggressiveness to the way, in a positive way, to the way that he's approaching this season and coaching this team. It's something that I think he's even admitted. It's definitely something that we've heard from reporters that are at these practices. And so if that's the case, if a different tone was needed and not the same one from the last couple of years, was he giving UCF 100%? And was he the guy that he was at Auburn? Did he have that same fire in his belly, or was he using UCF as a vacation, which is how I think some people viewed the way that he went about his business and coached this football team? There wasn't that same fire. And I think even he's admitting it right now. So for UCF fans who have seen success, they know what it feels like. I don't have any issue with them holding him to a high standard.
I don't think Gus Malzahn lost fire. I think Gus Malzahn, and he said this, NIL came about. The transfer portal came about. He had to build a roster. He even said that. He even said that when he gave up play calling duties. Listen, I've got to concentrate on NIL. We don't have any big-time rich boosters. We have to go out and get some money so we can build a roster. So, yeah, and now that he has a system in place, I think he's ready to get back to what he does, which is coach football and call plays and all of that. So I think Gus Malzahn, for what he has had to work with as far as NIL, has done a terrific job recruiting, terrific job in the transfer portal. And yeah, he should be held to a high standard, but you've got to give him time to build the program, especially only the first year in the Big 12.
Okay, right. Final thought on this, because I think you bring up an important term in discussing Gus Malzahn and the way that you think he should be appreciated, because you've said the way that he's building this program. I think that's part of the beef with Gus Malzahn, is that to this point, he hasn't really built anything. Now, maybe that's going to change this year. And I happen to be I've been hard on Gus, but I'm also really optimistic heading into this season because I've seen what he's done in the portal. I've seen what he's done through recruiting and the coaches that he's bringing in to work alongside him. I'm optimistic that he has built something, but we haven't actually seen that yet. 9-win season, 9-win season, 6-win season. He's just kind of kept this program exactly where it was already before he took the job. It's not like he's taking it beyond Scott Frost and Josh Heupel. He's just kind of like, the boat hasn't sunk. That's kind of where he's at. So I want to ask you a question about, I guess we'll stick with college football. I'm going to give you a what if scenario here.
Okay.
Would Billy Napier be the first coach in Gator history to ever win 8 games and get a raise? If he wins 8 games this year, will Billy, I don't know if that's a what if question, but is Billy Napier in line to get a raise if he wins 8 games this year with the schedule that he has in front of him? And would that be unprecedented in Gator history, being the Gator buff that you are?
The way college, well, yes, it would be unprecedented in Gator history, but obviously expectations for Gator fans aren't as high as they have been in the past. But the way college ADs throw around money and give out extensions after one decent year of coaching, I wouldn't be shocked if it happens. I don't think it's going to happen. He's still going to have a lot of years left on his contract after this year. But if he wins 8 wins this year, if he gets 8 wins this year with the toughest schedule, that some people are calling it the toughest schedule in college football history, if he were to win 8, yeah, I think he would have done a hell of a job. I still wouldn't give him a raise, which brings me to my next question for you. Just like I wouldn't have given Tua his big contract with the Dolphins, I probably wouldn't have given Tyreek Hill a boatload of money, even though he still had 2 years left on his contract. Here's my question for you, Brandon Kravitz. The Miami Dolphins are throwing around money like James Harden in a strip club on their offensive skill players. Is this really the way to build a Super Bowl team? I don't think it is. You look at what some other great teams have done. Look at how the Patriots did it back in the day. Look at how the Chiefs have done it. They don't throw a bunch of money around on anybody but the quarterback. Are the Dolphins building the right way?
Probably not. I think that's a fair criticism. Giving them for the 3 players on your team is that the way the NFL works is you really have 3 guys that you can throw the absolute bag at, and then you have to start to get a little bit creative with your salary cap. So each team you go down the salaries for every team in the NFL. There's 3 guys for the most part that get paid bukus of money, and then everybody else they try and get some form of a bargain on. And right now Miami is built on Tua, Tyreek Hill, and Jalen Waddle. And that's probably not the way to build a Super Bowl roster. However, they are in a position to bring in players that might be a touch past their prime. Jalen Ramsey's a good example. Bradley Chubb is a good example. If they bring in guys like this that are just happy to play in Miami for an organization that when the last player voting came in was voted as one of the best in terms of the way players are treated from ownership to coaching with Mike McDaniel, and the city doesn't hurt, the fact that this is a good team with fun players. So I think that they can lure enough free agents, guys via trade that are happy to play there where they can fill some of the holes. I don't have a problem with them paying Tua because they've basically said with all of these contracts, we have a 3-year window with the guys that we have. It's essentially a 3-year deal for Tua. It is a 3-year deal for Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. And they're like, if we can get it done within these 3 years, then great. If not, then they'll blow it up after that. I don't have an issue with it. My final question for you, the most must-watch team in the state of Florida as it pertains to college football. So we'll go FSU, UCF, Florida. If you had to pick one to say, I got to see how this season plays out. I want this team on my TV screen. I want to go cover this team live. And you can throw Miami in there too, of course.
That's interesting. There's trepidation on picking the Gators because what happens if the Gators are just miserable with that schedule we just talked about? That's not very intriguing. I am intrigued by Florida State because, they lose a lot. There's still high expectations. So I would, I'm interested to see what Florida State does, but I I hate to sound like an Orlando homer here, but I am really, really interested in UCF this year. I am because, again, second year in the Big 12. You mentioned Gus Malzahn seems to have this edge that he hasn't had over the past couple of years. He was embarrassed that he finished with a losing record last year for the first time in his coaching career. You've got KJ Jefferson, this beast of a quarterback who absolutely ran over the Gators last year. So, yeah, and there is this segment of UCF fans who always grumble about Gus. So I'm interested to see if Gus can answer his critics and have a great year this year. I'm going UCF.
Plus, RJ Harvey came to the Mikeys, so
Absolutely.
that doesn't
That's
hurt.
big. Yeah.
Mike, let's hear it. Let's hear it.
The crossover is now over.
Yeah.